Hello, I'm Jackie, and this is the Empowered Mind. Today's session is on the universal law of wisdom, my personal favorite universal law. Maybe you're familiar with universal law, maybe you're not familiar with universal law. You probably heard of the universal law of attraction because that got really trendy and very popular about 10 years ago. I have a video on that as well. But today I want to talk about the universal law of wisdom because I think it is just really wonderful. So, very simply put, in my language, the universal law of wisdom, what it says and what it teaches us is that once you've learned what you've come to learn, once you've learned what you needed to learn out of whatever experience it was, you don't have to keep having that experience. But here's the kicker. If you don't learn it, let me just do it. So if you don't learn it, you're going to get another experience in your life that's going to facilitate the opportunity for you to learn your lesson. And if you don't learn it then you're going to get another opportunity to learn the lesson again. So essentially, those things that happen to us, the good things and the bad things, the things we like and the things we don't like, are basically put there as teachers. That's the things that we like as well. So when things are happening in our life and good things are happening in our life, to be able to appreciate them and acknowledge them and say, hey, what is the lesson in this for me? What am I learning? What am I validating about myself? What am I reminding myself about when good things are happening is a really good practice to get into. And for a lot of you guys that have been on a personal growth, spiritual journey for a long time, you may have been skipping that step, and only having those types of questions or those types of thoughts when it's crappy stuff that's happening. So it does go for the crappy stuff as well. So when something crappy happens, first you got to get through that you are human. You do have HBC, human being condition. That means you're going to get emotional and you might get set back and you might get confused and you might do all of that. But the bottom line is you have to remember at some point in time that life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. That at some point before you got into this lifetime, you sat down and you, with a bunch of other people, other souls, you orchestrated this amazing production, which was going to be your life. And other people are having similar productions and having similar experiences, and all of the synchronicities and all the people coming in and all the people going out of our lives have all been carefully crafted by yourself in an altered state, in another state of being before you got here, so that you could come in here and you could have this experience as a human being, which would, of course, is ultimately designed to take you back to your true essence, your true self. Anyways, so with the universal law of wisdom, yeah, sometimes we get really, really horrible stuff that happens to us. But that's because we needed to learn a lesson. We wanted to learn, for example, I don't know, I think we all have the same lessons, just different, we're just having them at different times and maybe different lifetimes. But maybe you had to learn self-respect. Maybe you said, this lifetime, man, I am going to learn to respect myself. I'm going to learn to respect myself. Now, in order to respect yourself, of course, you've got to understand what's important to you. You've got to do some deep, some work inside to know what matters to you, who you are, what you stand for. That takes some time, okay? You don't just come flying out of your mama like that. It does take some time. But if you're going to learn self-respect, you've got to know that. You've got to have that as a basis. Now, in the process, in order for you to discover what that looks like and what is important to you and all of that kind of thing that I just talked about, you're going to have a bunch of experiences so you can go, well, that ain't it. That ain't it. Oh, I like that. I like that. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I don't like that, and so on and so forth. So that's how you start to understand what your preferences are. That's how you start to understand what will work for you. So those experiences that were put in place were for you to start realizing, I don't like this. I like this. I don't like this. I like this. And even more importantly, in addition to that, when something happens or somebody behaves in a way towards you that you don't like, your opportunity and what you will get to eventually is being able to say no to the things that you don't want in your life and to say yes only to the things that you want in your life. And this is the part that gets a little bit tricky for some people, is because something bad will happen or somebody will do something to somebody else and they'll get so caught up in what has happened to them, they will completely lose sight of the fact that they are there and you are having the experience so that you can become wise to your own preferences. And the moment you become wise to your preferences, the moment you start saying no or saying yes accordingly, you don't have to have that lesson again. And let me give you some examples. Have you ever been at a point in your life where you always seem to be attracting the same type of partner? You ever found yourself just saying, how did I get here again? How did this happen to me again? This is the universal law of wisdom presenting itself again in another person, another situation, so that you can have an opportunity, let's just say, to respect yourself, because we were using that example. So this can show up in your life, for example, as working at a company where, the people are mean, or they're yucky, like you don't like how they are, or whatever that looks like. Or you've got a boss that's like a butthead, micromanaging and always, distrusting you. And if these patterns repeat, I suggest you can look back on your life and notice that before you got to work, it was happening to you at school. It was happening to you at university. It was happening to you in your home, potentially. Maybe one of your own parents used to talk horribly with you or treat you with distrust and disrespect. So this lesson, this law of wisdom, is continuing to show up in your life until you start to say, no, I'm not going to stay in a workplace where people treat me poorly or my boss treats me with disrespect. I am moving on. You might want to try talking to your boss and solving it that way, but that's another video. But until you can say no to those things and do it with a calm heart, with a loving heart, with a heart full of freedom, empowered choice, that is when the universal law of wisdom will kick in and say, hey, you have learned your lesson this time round, and we don't need to go there anymore. You are free to keep learning your other lessons, because there's going to be plenty more. I hope this video helped. Feel free to leave me some questions, challenge me if you'd like, and do please subscribe, follow, share if you enjoyed the content. I'll catch you next time.